Your Dallas Cowboys open the preseason schedule on Saturday. Gil Leberton, it's an exciting season, I know, for you. If you had to choose one, you want preseason NFL, you want preseason NBA, or do you want spring training baseball game? Which one are you going to see?
Without a doubt, Arizona, Florida, sunshine, give me a baseball game.
John Henry?
Just give me liquor. I'll watch any of them.
Give me like the Dallas Ballet. None of them mean anything. PressBox DFW Live. I'm Richie Witt alongside two venerable Metroplex sports writers, Gil Leberton, John Henry. Season 2, episode 9. We're going to make season 3 one of these days. Yeah, we're rolling. The big news of the day out of Cowboys camp in Oxnard is, I was totally wrong about this. The Zeke Elliott holdout I thought would never last a day now may last a season. I'm sure you guys have heard this. Zeke's agent now telling the Cowboys, if we don't get a new contract, he's not playing the whole season. Gil, we buying this, or is this more agent puffery?
Agent puffery, but Jerry usually caves on things like this, as owners do. There's got to be a number. There's got to be a number somewhere in there.
I just don't think, John Henry, I'm already surprised, though. We sat here, I think, a couple weeks ago and said he won't miss. It's a PR nightmare if he sits out because of all the stuff he's done. He's got some business leverage, but I'm surprised it's even gone one day. Do you think it's going to go into weeks and maybe even months?
No, I think Jerry's going to get a deal for him. And there's another report out there that says that they've offered him, Dak, and I guess it's
Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm. New contracts that would make them all in the top 5 of their positions.
That would be Calvin Watkins' story in the morning news.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Is that good enough, though? Zeke doesn't think he's a top 5 running back. He thinks he is the running back.
Right.
So
I'm not sure it'll be good enough.
5th highest paid, he's like, keep going, right?
Of course, making him the top 5 running back, or making him the top paid running back.
I thought they were going to make him number 2.
Well, yes.
With the offer.
They were going to make him number 2. But why not number 1? I mean, he's been in the league 3 years. He's led the league in rushing twice.
Right.
He's going to say, name a running back better than me.
Well, and I think he's, just off the top of my head, I think he's clearly the most impactful for his
no
team.
Doubt. Yeah.
If they lose him, that changes the entire offense.
Exactly right. And it's because for the Cowboys, I mean, they, for the last, 8 years, have decided we're going to replicate our 1990s success by building the league's best offensive line and putting behind them the league's best running back. So they drafted high picks with Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and then drafted Zeke very high. It's a run-first offense with Dak Prescott as your quarterback and right now, Michael Gallup as your number 2 receiver. There's no plan B if Zeke's not back there, right? This is not, we'll just throw the ball more. I mean, you got Amari Cooper, but this is not a pass-happy team that can get it done. And Zeke knows that. To me, he's got all the leverage here. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. To me, this is a response to Jerry rattling the swords last week, trying to act tough, trying to paint Zeke as the bad guy in this, that, how dare him try to ruin our championship, our upcoming championship season. And so this is his agent's response to it. And, like I said, there's got to be a number midway that they'll settle for. And Jerry's got to know that. Steven's got to know that.
I just don't think the Cowboys have a lot of leverage here. And we go back to 1993 with Emmett when he held out famously. through training camp, through 2 games, and Jerry caved and caved big time and said that's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made because Emmett was that important. Cowboys start 0-2, win the Super Bowl when he comes back. So he's got to have at least a little memories of what happened back then.
Absolutely. But let me ask you this. What does Dak Prescott do in the middle of all this? Does he maybe settle for a contract that's less than what he could possibly get if he wants to draw a firm line in the sand?
What would be his motivation for doing that, taking a lesser contract?
Same as Tom Brady's, same as Drew Brees. You know, if you take all the money, then your team's not going to be as good.
It's kind of it's what Dirk used to do with the Mavericks. He would take less money, at least less, restructure me, give it to me on the back end so we can get better players now. I mean, talk about building up some goodwill. Dak could do that and be a hero.
And Jerry will take care of him down the line. Of course.
Yeah.
Just like Cuban will take care of Dirk for the rest.
Absolutely.
Generations of Nowitzkis are going to be taken care of because of the sacrifices that Dirk made while he was an active player.
Yeah. Of course, without Zeke, Dak's status isn't helped at all. Because, I mean, without him, teams are going to be able to focus on –
Dak could think I'm going to get exposed without Zeke. I mean, that's putting it bluntly, but he's got to be worried that this team is built around them. And if they put it on me, I mean, he's not a prototypical drop back quarterback that's going to carry a team with his right arm. He just can't.
No, and of course, people make the point that Alfred Morris or whoever it was last year, it wasn't Morris last year, but averaged 4.9 or something a carry. Well, that's because people are focusing on Zeke when Zeke's, they're stacking.
Yeah.
So
changes everything when he's not there.
Yeah.
So the Cowboys say, we've offered Zeke, we've offered you a deal to make you a top 2 running back. Dak and Amari Cooper, we've offered you deals to make you top 5 players at your position. The news today, Zeke's agent says, nope, without a new deal that makes us, number one, he's not going to play for the whole season. This is the equivalent of back in the day, Emmett holding out, and then Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin also saying, we need new contracts too. Is this chaos yet?
No,
not chaos.
Not
yet.
At this point. Right. The chaos would be if this happens on Labor Day.
Yeah, like the weekend before they play.
Right.
Okay. Is it a distraction yet? You also got Jason Garrett without a contract as a lame duck coach. That's a lot of personal agendas taking the headline of a team that was prepared to say we're going to take the next step as a team. This is a lot of fragmentation.
And you're also transitioning a new offensive coordinator. How does this affect that transition without Zeke there? And it's not chaos yet, but it's creeping that way.
Of course, it's a distraction because the Cowboys are team distraction.
It's true.
There's always something going on.
Yeah.
There are piles of media out there right now. No telling how many of those Entertainment Tonight kind of shows are out there because that's who they are. That's what that's why Jerry's out there, And everything's a distraction.
Zeke, it's not a big deal to me that he's not in training camp because last year, if you'll remember, training camp carries preseason 0. Didn't carry the ball. Didn't play in a preseason game. It doesn't matter. Then he had 304 carries, led the league with carries, led the league in yards. I don't worry about his fitness and his football, but it is, like you said, this will lead Good Morning America. Zeke may not play the whole season.
Oh, TMZ's probably
they're all over it. You're exactly right. All right, so I would love to go out to Oxnard and do a personal report, get the scoop for PressBox DFW Live, but there's a photo that I came across this week from 2012, and it'll explain why I am not allowed in Oxnard or California. So this is 2012. This is when I worked at 105.3 The Fan. That's Mark Elfenbein. That's Sean Sharif, who's still a morning host there. That in the middle, in the bikini, that would be Jane Slater, who at the time was 105.3 The Fan. And, of course, that's dorky me. And the story was we decided one day to go play some beach volleyball at Venice Beach. And of course,
At
when you
Venice
do that,
Beach.
at Venice
At
Beach,
Venice Beach.
not on a show court,
the
obviously.
professional-
No, on a drunk court. We thought so. We get a 12-pack, pop open some beer. We're playing really bad volleyball, and all of a sudden, those two cops pull up on ATVs and pull us over the side and start writing us citations for having open containers on the beach.
Really?
Whoa.
I had no idea. We not had no
Cans,
idea.
not bottles.
Cans. And he was like, sorry, we're really cutting back. We have to write you a ticket. But they posed for pictures, and they knew it was like we were from out of town, but I've never paid mine. So, and I asked Jane Slater, who was supposed to be on our show today, but she had this breaking news to deal with on NFL Network. I said, did you pay yours? She goes, of course. I don't want a warrant. And I was like, I probably have. I'm a wanted man in California. So Gil or John, y'all are going to Oxnard to get the breaking news for us because I am absolutely banned. All right, there's some Zeke news here on PressBox DFW Live. Next up, we talked about Dak being a bus driver quarterback. How is he not in the top 100 players on the NFL's best list?
Okay, welcome to today's pregame meal. You know,
Where are we having the meal today? Looks like we're at a football stadium.
that
I'm
would
not real
be
familiar with
the
that place.
venerable palace known as Texas Stadium, home of the Cowboys for what? From
71 to
71 through
2008.
2008.
Yep.
Right. Nothing wrong with it that a little paint and fixing the plumbing wouldn't have cured, but the current owner of the Cowboys chose to build a better place.
He also can't close the roof at that place either.
Didn't need
That
to.
one's open.
Didn't need to.
That was
Didn't
where
need to.
you know
That's
who was
where-
watching his favorite
That's
team.
right.
So I covered hundreds of games there.
Mm-hmm.
Never referred to it as a palace in any of my game stories.
No, I guess it wasn't. But you know, what was the first year you covered the team?
1990.
Okay, so they had already moved the press box by then.
Yes.
Can you imagine where the press box originally was?
So
it was the
I
best
Did, no,
view
I did
in
sit
football.
there though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sat. My chair was right over the second L in Lilly, which was right on the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, that's where
Now-
I sat. I
yeah.
was beat man
Yeah.
for my first 2 years, and I was like, you know, the morning news was here, and we were Jim Dent was next
Yep.
to him, and then I was at the 49.5-yard line.
Isn't that great?
And it was low. It was down in that. You can see behind me this level right here.
Yeah, it was right
the
there,
club
exactly
level.
right.
And it was amazing. It was a great place to watch a football game.
And then
It was
Jerry-
theater. It was like a theater.
It was. And then Jerry came in and was like, that's prime seating. Get those
Yeah.
guys in the upper deck and we'll
And-
make money here. That's why they're worth, whatever, $6 billion now.
And then you can probably see, I apologize to the people that are just listening, but he moved the media to
Yeah,
this
that's
level
the-
right here, right under the roof.
Yeah.
You know, we had like bats hanging down
Oh.
next to the press box and walking on scaffolding up there and
Yep.
things like that. And everything was cramped. And the old press box, Richie, you know this, actually had a bar. in
Oh,
it.
did
It had
it
its
ever?
own bar.
Yeah.
And as soon as the media would come up from the post-game interviews, it was time to open up the bar. And if you got too inebriated doing your post-game story, for those who drank, there was the Cowboys would provide a ride
Yes.
back to your hotel
there
in
was
the
no
airport.
too
First
inebriated.
class.
Yeah. And if you wanted to drink and talk about a certain play, you'd go back there and talk about it with Tex or
Tex, right.
sometimes Gil Brandt would be back. They would just have.
I can't remember seeing Brandt back there.
he
but-
was back there talking, but yeah, Tex was the one drinking, and Galloway. They'd have scotch on the rocks talking about the game.
Well,
You don't see that
anyway.
anymore.
Those were the
Okay.
days, Edith.
Venerable Palace.
Okay, real quickly. This in summertime, this is the time for list. The media likes doing lists, newspapers, websites. We all like doing lists, and apparently
Guilty.
so do TV networks. And the thing you have to remember about list is that it's not science. And so the NFL came out with its list of 2019's best top 100 NFL players.
Yep.
And as always, just as it was designed to do, it stirred conversation, it stirred arguments. Some players grumbled about it, and there were notable shifts in the rankings as well as omissions. And
It's great content for NFL Network. I mean, to run.
oh yeah,
I mean, because they do
Yeah.
it, they break it up in like 10 at a time. So it's
Yeah,
10
10
different
shows.
segments. Yeah, 10
And-
shows. And they
and,
run them all the time. It's great.
They used to in the early years. I think the first year they did it was 2011. They used to have they would have a show that would give those 10 for that day, and then they would have a reaction show right afterwards.
Right.
I think they stopped doing the reaction show, thank God, and but they still have
Reactions are
10
a great
days
list.
of
Yeah.
10 at a time revealing who's on their list, and of course very unscientific. Let me say first off that I tried to find out. I looked on the internet. I asked around. I tried to see if anybody had ever seen a ballot, and I wasn't successful. I did find that in the old days, in the first days of this, that the way they would do it was they would ask active players to vote late in the season and pick their top 20. And then they would take, they would fill out the 100 based on that top 20.
Okay.
Well, I can't imagine that, say, for instance, Byron Jones would have made anybody's top 20. The players would have been voting for the same 40,
Yeah,
at
exactly
most
right.
50 players.
You wouldn't have had 100 names.
Yeah, there's no
way.
way they would have had. There's Byron.
Right.
Comes in at number 97 this year, which is, congratulations. But I doubt if he made anybody's top 20 list. And so I think that there's got to be some kind of way they do it. But mostly this is players picking. Well, who knows what criteria they're using? There's probably as many different criteria for putting people on the list as ever.
But you're right. Part of the criteria is let's make it controversial. So dorky podcasts down in Dallas are talking about us. And
Well,
success.
it's done. Apparently, what is true is that they collect the ballots, 1,089 of them this year. 1,089 after the Thanksgiving Day games, and then of course they wait until now to release them. But NFL Films actually interviewed a couple of several dozen players, 136 players, and they're going to run parts of it now, I guess, for the rest of the year, and what's what. Well, the good news for Cowboys fans is that 8 Cowboys made the top 100 list. The bad news for Cowboys fans, probably, is that one of them was not Dak Prescott. And there were 14 quarterbacks
I was gonna ask that.
that
Wow.
made the
Okay.
that made the top 100
So he's
list
15 at best.
at best.
Yeah.
And
That's about right, though.
Which
He's
is probably about
he's
right.
He's a middle
Except-
of the packer.
except-
Okay.
except here are some of the names that did make the list. Coming in at number 51, Deshaun Watson. Number 69, Matt Ryan.
51 for Deshaun.
Matt Ryan, who
I'd rather have
of course,
Matt Ryan than
of course
Dak
he
Prescott.
didn't lose. He didn't lose a 28-3 lead. Shout out to my cousins there, Saints fans. Kirk Cousins
No,
at
come
78.
I'd rather have Dak than Kirk Cousins.
I don't know about that.
You'd rather have.
I like Kirk Cousins.
You can have him.
At 78, really?
Well,
Okay.
Deshaun Watson.
But that's
at
why
51
this is
shocking.
we're doing exactly what NFL Network
Of
wants us to
course.
do.
Yeah.
Talkers.
Number 87 did not have a good season last year, was hurt, Cam Newton. And then number 96, Carson Wentz. So,
Unclear about him.
There's nothing to suggest on their body of work that Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott. What they've done in the NFL so far, nothing.
well, I know
Dak is better. He's healthier. He's achieved more as a team, more as a person. That's just preposterous.
Well, people are going to use numbers because, pro football has become a game of numbers and fantasy ratings and things
Sure.
like that.
And potential and draft position. That
But I
always
think the
counts.
eyeball test alone suggests that Dak Prescott is at least as good as a few of these stiffs that made the list.
You can argue
Top
he's-
100 stiffs that
You
they
can argue
are.
he's better than every one of those players. Well, not Cam Newton. When Cam Newton's healthy, he's elite player.
I don't think he's as good as a thrower as Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he'll put it right in the, right.
I had no idea we had a Kirk Cousins fan club on the show.
Yeah,
Right.
me neither.
He puts it right in the catch zone every time.
Okay, I need some stats on that catch zone with Kirk Cousins.
FYI, the top four quarterbacks were Drew Brees, Pat Mahomes. Drew Brees was the number 2 overall. Pat Mahomes 4. Tom Brady fell to 6th. Aaron Rodgers 8th. We can argue all night about whether Drew Brees should be number 2. Pat Mahomes had a tremendous season. I think at the time, think about it. Thanksgiving Day, who you're going to vote for.
Yeah. Stuff changes after
Mahomes.
Thanksgiving. That's only
Exactly.
like a 3/4 poll. Yeah.
Exactly.
One season.
Yeah.
And and of course, Tom Brady's always going to have kind of a pushback vote from the people who are jealous.
I mean,
Right.
If he's not number 1 every year, I mean, who is? Who was number 1 this year? You're going to get to that?
Yes,
Okay.
it was. It was the Los Angeles Rams' Aaron Donald, and he had a mere 20.5 sacks.
Yeah, he did. He's a game changer.
He was
Even
good.
though he did not have a good game in when it counted, didn't have a particularly good Super Bowl,
Bowl, right.
or NFC Championship game. Again, a shout out to my cousins who are Saints fans. And he's it's hard to pick a. I mean, I have no argument with Aaron Donald being
course
named
not.
a number 1 pick. I mean, he's a beast.
And those games came way after Thanksgiving, so it's a very subjective list, and the dates make it very it's very sketchy. Sorry.
Very sketchy.
Yeah.
Here's a one that I wonder about though. Number 5 on the list.
I was just about to bring that up.
Todd Gurley.
I was just about
Todd
to bring that up.
Gurley was he the
No.
number 5 best player in the
In the whole
NFL
league.
last year?
By Thanksgiving? Not even by
No.
Thanksgiving.
No. And of course,
Not
we
better
don't
than
know.
Zeke.
No.
No
Right.
way.
Oh, no way. There's no way. And he was supposedly he was hurt, and he didn't have he didn't have that many carries in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, and okay. I think he had 4 carries in the NFC Championship game, 10 in the Super Bowl. Well,
Right.
he still was healthy enough to have a good game against the Cowboys in the divisional game. So, I mean, what's
But in
wrong?
that game, he got outrushed by C.J. Anderson.
He did.
I mean,
He did. And
there's no way he's number 5. That's no.
no, and if he does have arthritis, like some people think he does, then he's on the downside.
Yeah.
He's on the downside.
No,
'Cause
he
it's not
also-
going to go away.
Just signed a fat new contract.
He sure
too, with
did.
a bunch of guaranteed money.
Was there
So-
an arthritis
Year before.
clause in that contract?
I doubt it.
Real quickly, the Cowboys, Zeke Elliott came in at number 18 on the overall list, up from 54 the year. There's a good picture of Zeke.
Is it? There's a picture
Sorry.
of Zeke. I don't know if it's a good
Let's see.
His mother
Number
thinks so.
Yeah.
Number 59, Zach Martin. No question there. Maybe even should be higher. The best interior offensive lineman. Best offensive lineman in the league. Jalen Smith at number 61. I don't want to get into my whole
let's
Jalen
slow
Smith
down on that.
argument here. 64 was Amari Cooper. I guess I missed one there. Tyron Smith is 52, just ahead of Zach Martin. And a lot of people think Tyron had a better season. I seem to remember him being hurt.
He was hurt a lot. Missed
Yeah,
some games
and,
last year, yeah. Not his best year by far.
Not his best year. All right, Jalen Smith makes 61. His partner and linebacker Leighton Vander Esch makes 74. And some people think that this means that the Cowboys have the best young linebacker duo in pro football. Okay. I want to see it again. I have to see it again before I'm ready to say that. But there's no question that both of them had
Oh,
promising
absolutely.
seasons.
Both of them are better than I thought they would ever be.
Right.
Certainly.
Van Der Esch after 1 year, and I didn't
As
know
a
if
rookie?
Jalen Smith would ever even play because of his horrible
Right.
knee injury.
And the other one is DeMarcus Lawrence, came in at number 45, who actually slipped 11 spots.
45 for, I mean,
He
he had the
slipped.
same impact as Aaron Donald. But
He
he
did.
wasn't 44 spots worse.
He did. What's it tell you that the Cowboys ended up with 8 players, more than anybody else?
They underachieved like crazy.
Sound like a Super Bowl winner to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what
I mean,
if you were
have
head
eight
coach?
of the top 100, you should be better than getting killed in the divisional series.
Does this constitute a mandate to the head coach?
Another mandate, yes. The latest mandate.
You
Yeah.
would think, unless Jerry's picking these players,
Jerry can say we've done our job and given you 8 of the top 100 players, Jason Garrett. Now you go coach them up to their potential. Absolutely, right. You got a right to say that.
And no contract,
Right.
working on. It's a contract year. I'd say you better get it done.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. You hear these stories about how how now teams or agents are even bringing up the guys' Madden
NFL
rating,
rating.
Right.
at contract.
Anything you can
discussions.
twist into your
Stop
favor,
it.
it'll be my Madden
it.
rating or where was I on the NFL list. All right, Jason Garrett, there's your mandate because you got 8 of the top 100, and there's some motivation for Dak Prescott. You're not in the top 100. You're not in the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. Read us daily, PressBoxDFW.com. Watch us right here every Tuesday. The vodcast. That means there's video in addition to our podcast. By the way, shout out to our audio-only listeners, which we have a lot out there, just listening to the audio version on iTunes. We love that as well. Right here, Tuesdays at noon, PressBox DFW Live. Next up, we'll get into some double drivel. Let's play overrated, underrated, or just John Henry.
There was another piece of news that we didn't mention out of Oxnard today.
Let's get it.
The Cowboys have given up on Rico Gathers.
Oh, that's so hurtful. There's so many irrational fans who thought he was athletic and could jump and he could post up and
Post up.
Right.
just like he did at Baylor. Come on.
He had one. There was one issue that I noticed last year that he had that's
Let's hear his one issue.
not good for a tight end.
Yeah.
He had the worst hands out there.
Did not. Yeah.
And I don't think he could block, and I don't think he could do anything. But 3 years they worked with him, and after 3 years, I think it's probably 2.5 too long.
Yeah. He was still worth the risk.
And of course, he was expendable with
Yes.
the return
Yeah.
of Jason Witten.
True.
And the fact that he's got 2 guys ahead of him on the depth chart who apparently have had a nice offseason and start to training camp.
Could not be more polar opposite than Jason Witten and Rico Gathers.
Well-
Witten has no athleticism at all. Can't jump over his own shadow, but never drops the ball. And Rico Gathers, of course, is winning the Olympics and the decathlon, but can't catch.
Right.
Can't get open.
Who's the
Carl
best?
Lewis, but can't touch
Yeah.
the ball.
Who's the best basketball player the Cowboys have ever had, drafted or signed?
Basketball.
Wasn't
They drafted Pat Riley. Did he count?
that's
They
it?
did
That's
draft
it.
Pat
That's
Riley.
Pat Riley.
Right.
That's it.
We had that.
Winner.
We broke that
You
news
got the
here.
winner.
We broke it. We revisited it really late.
That's right, Pat Riley, I guess.
So anyway, Rico Gathers did last longer than Carmen Electra and Dennis Rodman. So he's got that going for him.
Okay.
All right. So
We need that list, by the way. You're kind of our list guy.
Good.
Each NFL team's best basketball player ever drafted.
will see
And then rank them.
that's a homework assignment for next week. All right. We'll see what I come up with. Pat Riley's got to be up there, though.
Yeah.
Okay. We played overrated, underrated, and rated just right before.
Yep.
And this week we're going to do it with the Cowboys.
Do it.
So I will, how this works is I will make a declaration, and we will say, I will ask you if that statement is overrated, underrated, or rated just right.
Okay.
Let's start with the new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is the Wonder Kid Messiah, the second coming of Norv Turner, born to make the Cowboys offense sing. Now, Kellen Moore's qualifications coming into this year are 0 years
I was about to say. Yeah. Go
as
ahead.
an offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
1 year as a quarterback's coach. Is Kellen Moore, let's just say Kellen Moore is the Messiah. Is that overrated, underrated, or is that rated just about
That's
right?
overrated, like with all caps and 80-point bold. He did nothing to deserve this job, number one.
Right.
He had one 400-yard game as a Cowboys backup quarterback. But I just don't. Other than the fact that we're tired of the same old plays from Jason Garrett, I don't see any reason that Kellen Moore should be in charge of this offense. Overrated. Until I see anything.
So we're picking whether or not the subject is overrated.
Well,
not
that
the
sentence,
argument.
That sentence.
My sentence.
Is he gonna be
Kellen
the
Moore
Messiah?
is the
Yeah.
second coming of Norv Turner.
No. No.
We're playing overrated,
he's-
underrated, just right, or no?
He's somewhere above Janine Turner. Although maybe not.
I don't know. Yeah.
We don't know.
Well, they're not telling.
We were all quite surprised that that hire.
I don't think any Cowboys fan would say that's underrated. He's gonna
No.
be North Turner. That's just you have no body of work at all.
Jason Witten will do for the Cowboys' red zone efficiency what hair plugs did for his head in the broadcast booth. Fill a big hole.
Just one.
Will, is that statement overrated, underrated, or rated just right?
That's overrated too. He's not. He's going to be better, but that's drastic. I'm not saying he's not going to be better for the red zone, but
The hair plugs are drastic.
I didn't know if that was
Or the
like
difference.
plugs. That was like a bearskin rug that he put on top of his head for Monday Night Football. He's going to make the Cowboys better in the red zone, but he's not going to be. They're not going to have, he's not going to have 20 touchdowns. He's not going to be that big of a deal. But he's going to be the old Jason Witten, don't you think? It's about the same numbers.
He's already made the Cowboys better just by being back in that locker
By
room.
getting rid of Rico Gathers.
True.
Bumping him off the roster.
Yeah, that too.
I'm-
I think he'll be a great leadership influence on a team that could probably use some,
Oh,
But he looked drastically different. The Cowboys are not going to look drastically different with him.
age is a big asset in sports. I tend to think that this is overrated. I think Jason Witten. I disagree with you guys. I think we're going to find he's taken 2 steps back, but
You do.
He's only been out a year.
Regress.
right, hasn't played football in a year older,
But
and he'd already taken 2 steps.
you're saying he's going to lose a step. He doesn't have a step. He's never had a step. He's
That's
just
true.
he
I
get
just don't know
open
if he's
and
going to be.
catch
I don't know if he's going to be able to get open.
it. All right.
So anyway, and I do like him better without the bearskin rug.
Of course you do. He looks like a human.
El Natural.
The other one. Yeah, that was rough.
But yeah, I think Jason Witten will be an asset for them overall.
Yep.
Okay, Robert Quinn,
Lock him.
the defensive end who hasn't had double-digit sacks since 2014.
Here's a good photo.
I couldn't tell it's him or Ray Lewis.
Yeah, it does.
Pretty
Look,
close, isn't it?
Anyway,
it's got that crazed Red Bull kind of
he does.
10 cans of Red Bull.
At a 5-hour energy chaser.
Robert Quinn, he hasn't had double-digit sacks since 2014. Will experience rejuvenation in his new setting opposite DeMarcus Lawrence. Is that statement overrated, underrated, or rated just right?
Well, we're basing our grading on rejuvenation. I'd like to know a little bit more what that looks like. But I think underrated. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think DeMarcus Lawrence now is going to attract all sorts of attention.
So he'll get
and
more
Robert
opportunities.
Quinn is in a perfect spot to have double-digit sacks. I really think that.
Overrated. I think. I don't know. I just think he's until he does it. I'm going to say that he's on the downside of what had been a real nice career.
I'm not saying he's not on the downside, but I think he's got enough left, and he's going to have enough one-on-one blocking that if he does have something in the tank, it's a perfect opportunity for him to put up some good numbers.
Would seem to be the best spot for him or one of the better spots for him with DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side.
Unless Randy Gregory gets his act straight. Then you got to kind of temper Robert Quinn.
Yes. Speaking of
That's a good segue by me, wasn't it?
Randy Gregory, let's rate this statement. Randy Gregory will stay clear of the
Here he is
ganja.
pictured high as a kite during a game.
Randy Gregory will stay clear of the ganja, having finally learned his lesson after a 4th or 5th run-in with the pee bottle. But he will be. But we will all be asking for supplier contact while watching Taco Charlton and Connor Williams
Taco.
being overmatched.
Taco's still on the team. Huh?
Yeah.
Taco's still there.
Still on the team.
What a survivor.
That's underrated. He's not going to have. Look at these pictures.
What's
we
he got
find of
written
these
on his
players.
arm? It's got his contract.
Yeah, that's his.
Might be his
that's,
contract.
That's Zeke's contract demands.
How can I?
Gregory. Okay, I'm going to be very naive and say Randy Gregory finally figured it out. He's no more. You can.
What
laugh,
have you been smoking?
You can laugh maniacally about that one at me. He's going to turn it around. He's going to be a contributor to this team this year. Randy Gregory. Have you given up on him?
No.
No, you
I
haven't
think-
either. Good.
We'll see.
We all have open minds
A
here.
double shot of naivete to go, please.
I don't think there's any way he's going to stay away from the
You don't
stuff.
think so?
I think they'll make marijuana legal before.
Okay.
That could happen.
in the
He
league
might
before.
not stay away from it. He may find a way around it.
Connor Williams overmatched again.
Yes.
Yes, overmatched.
I'm rating this. I'm underrating this statement because I think Randy. Well, we know Randy Gregory,
Yeah.
and that's it for overrated, rated, and rated. Just right.
Actually, I have one
Oh.
quick
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
here we
Back
go.
to the new
Oh.
offensive
We have
coordinator.
a write-in vote from Ziggy. Go ahead.
Yes. So
Overrated or underrated? There he is.
This is who we're.
This is.
Oh, there he
This
is.
is the guy running your offense,
I mean,
Cowboys fans.
How does every team in the NFC East not just blow that up and hold that up at a sign at every game? Cowboys game.
What's he doing there? I've never understood that, but I've seen that photo.
It appears
in
to be
various.
maybe.
I think he won some sort of bowl game with Boise, and is that the
Or
MVP wore like a YA Tittle?
I don't know.
Hat? I don't
Maybe that's what they're wearing in boys.
promoting himself for the Davey O'Brien Award.
Yeah, it looks like Davey O'Brien. That looks like he was a candidate for
Thank
that.
you, Ziggy.
All right, Gil, is that segment underrated, overrated, or just about right?
Overrated.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was way overrated.
Let's move on.
All right, let's move on and bring the room down. The saddest story I've ever written. That's next. Welcome to Wits End, brought to you by the good folks at Lifetime Fitness and the best trainer in the world. Her name is Lindsay Siegel. It's not too late to work on your bikini body this summer. Get yourself a free, I said free, Free, training session at Lifetime Fitness with Lindsay, the club there at Mockingbird and 75 in Dallas. Don't even have to be a member. Just call up Lindsay, go to her website, make an appointment. You can have a free training session with Lindsay. Go see her for the best sweat of your life. Lindsay at Lifetime. All right, you guys have probably read my story this week about Chandler Jackson and his mom, Charmaine Jackson. One of the hardest stories I've ever written. So I met Chandler, and I actually didn't meet Chandler Jackson, I met his mom, Charmaine. So Chandler Jackson was one of those kids who just had it, right? He's in Frisco, he's 12 years old, he's a multi-sport star. He was an all-star baseball and football and basketball. He could do everything, but baseball was his sport. There he is with his mom. So in 2005, he takes a break from his sports endeavors and goes to the family's farm in Kentucky. They have a July 4th like picnic and fireworks, and the whole family comes from all over the country. And part of that festivities, they go from Frisco to Kentucky, is a family scramble golf tournament. So they're playing a course there called Dogwood Hills in Kentucky. And again, they're playing a scramble. They're on a par 3. And Chandler hits his ball way off to the right on the other fairway. So a horrible shot, sliced it. 2 other people in his group hit the ball on the green. So he knows in the scramble, they're not using my shot. Let me just go over here, pick up my ball. I'll meet y'all at the green, right? Next thing you know, everybody on the course hears a muffled cry for help. And they run, and there's a little ravine or a gully that separates the par 3 hole from the hole where he hit his ball on the fairway. And when they ran in the general direction of the muffled cry, laying face up with blood shooting out of his neck is Chandler Jackson. And we still, to this day, do not know exactly what happened to this poor kid. But somehow they found his 9-iron that he had used to hit that shot broken in two, and the club head part of the shaft had gone into his neck, hit a bony part of his collarbone, and shot out of his chest. Nicked his aorta and his carotid artery, and doctor said if he would have had that if he had had that injury at the doorstep of the hospital, we couldn't have saved his life. And as you can imagine, I mean, the doctors called it a 1 in a billion type accident. There was no witnesses, so we still will never know exactly what happened. The best guess is he picked up his ball and was running down an embankment to get up speed to go up the other side of the embankment, and somehow lost his balance and put down the club to break his fall, and it snapped and went into him, which is
Makes sense.
one of the biggest, worst freak accidents you've ever heard of. And that's not even all the story. I came across this story last weekend. I was looking for something else in my archives, and I came across the Chandler Jackson story. And I thought, wow. So when I was writing the story back in 2005, I became good friends with his mother, Charmaine, with the dad, Rick, with his sister, Lindsay, and there's the mom and Chandler again. I wrote about him multiple times. I had him on my old radio show. So they weren't friends, but they were friendly. And I would keep in touch with mom every couple of months, even went to happy hour with her and her friends one time. But I hadn't seen her. We fell out of touch like you do, right? So over the weekend, I just saw that story, and I thought I would text her and say, hey, hope all is well. Came across your story, just wanted to keep up and see how things are going. And I got nothing back for 3 or 4 hours. I thought that's really weird because she's usually really fast to text me back. Well, next thing you know, I get a text from her phone, but it's from her daughter, Lindsay, who says, there's no good way to tell you this, Richie, but my mom took her life. So just 14 years of dealing with the grief of losing Chandler finally caught up with her. And on Mother's Day, she took her own life via drug overdose, laying literally on top of Chandler's grave in Frisco. So, I mean, we talk about broken hearts, but that's like unbearable grief that a mother and finally just had to tap out and say, I can't go on without, number one, my son, number two, knowing how he died, and then grappling with why he died. It was just a horrible story. But, you know, when you reach out to somebody, a longtime acquaintance, and find out they hadn't reached out to you for a while because they're dead, it weighed heavy on me, and I decided to retell this story. So didn't mean to bring the room down too much, but, I mean, he was a great athlete, a great kid, and just sometimes you just life ain't fair.
Yeah.
That's how I have to file this under.
Well, you certainly, and I certainly commend you on your storytelling of that terrible incident. And
Oh yeah, definitely read the story. I mean, it gives you an idea of what kind of kid Chandler was.
Yeah.
And there's no way I certainly couldn't put myself in those shoes.
Can't imagine.
I
No,
could
there's
not
no way.
imagine.
But yeah, the story has all elements. I mean, it's got, you know, the background of the great kid, and then it's even got some CSI to it, like, you know, trying to figure out what happened, like talking to I interviewed extensively. It was in tiny town Kentucky, you know, the sheriff and the doctor who did the autopsy and the first responders who were there, and they all to a man say, we've never seen anything like it before, and we'll probably never see anything like it again. Just an all-time freak accident.
Oh, you know, I think it's even longer odds than 1 in a billion.
You're probably right.
Probably 1 in 10 billion.
Yeah.
That something like that would happen.
I looked up I can't remember the name of the report, but it's in the story. Like the National Institute of Health did they do like causes of death each year, and in 2018, I think there were like 13 deaths, golf-related deaths of children under 13 years old. And it was golf cart rollovers, or getting hit by the ball, or getting hit with a club in a backswing, even bee stings. A kid died from getting stung by bees while looking for his ball. But none were like this. None were golf club impalement. You know, it's just tragic. And, you know, I guess the moral of the story is life ain't fair. Hug your kids and you know, grab onto your faith, because sometimes this family just got I hate to say it, but they got the shaft.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes not even faith is enough. As this poor mother,
Yeah.
I'm sure, discovered.
Yeah.
Was there anything in Charmaine's character to make you think that she would end her own life like this?
There was nothing to think that drastic, but every time I met her, I mean, it didn't take,
Sure.
30 seconds for Chandler to come up. And, she still was grieving. I mean, I probably hadn't seen her in person probably 4 years, but she was still talking about him then and thanking me for the story and, still kind of not only searching for closure, but searching for answers to why it happened and why
So
me
sad.
and why him. And it's just horrible. I mean, it just shows you how people can die of a broken heart. It just may take 14 years. So there's Wits End. I appreciate me being able to talk about that story and go read the story. And again, just sometimes life isn't fair. So hug your kids, hug your loved ones, and hang in there. Next up on PressBox DFW Live, let's round the bases. Time to head for home. Nobody sent in questions for us? You were instructed to send in questions to us last week on Facebook Live or at Woody's or wherever you may be. Ziggy, do you have something
We
over there?
do have one question on today's Facebook
Let's hear it.
Live. Who is the better number 9, Tattoo or Mike Madonna?
Okay,
Tattoo lives.
so I wrote this story a couple months ago, I think it was. I don't know if you guys remember, but I took Dallas-Fort Worth's all-time uniform numbers, be it high school, college, pro, and picked the best player from 0 to 99. Remember that? Because you called me out on missing Ron Washington, number 38. I remember this. So you can go to PressBox DFW Live. You can see my whole story if you want. And for number 9, we even threw in Tony Romo. Was it Romo? Was it Tattoo?
Two.
Or was it Madonna? Who do y'all think we picked?
I think we picked Madonna.
Of
think-
course
I think
we
so,
did. He
yeah.
won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Right.
Tattoo took his shirt off and then fell over and hadn't been. He's been. I don't even know what you call that. He's deep-footed. What happened to Tattoo?
He's taking longer than
Here's Tattoo, by the way. Look at him.
taking longer than
He's doing
Dion
that.
did to get
This
over
is
that
his
toe
bobble.
injury.
It's the eternal header. He's
Like, I guess somebody did an ankle breaker and he literally broke his ankle. When are you gonna
that
do-
doesn't look a bit like Tattoo, by the way.
No, it does not. Absolutely doesn't.
The hair maybe, but
Maybe the hair, but yeah,
Not
they
sure
should have
who
made
that
him
looks
shirtless.
yeah.
He's taking longer than Dion did with his.
He's on the DL for
big
like
toe.
6 weeks. They make Gorilla Glue and stuff. You let me to get you some of
I've
that.
got some
All
somewhere.
right. So, yeah, you can go to PressBoxDFW.com and you can just click on our list of riders, click on my name, who we are, click on my name, and you can go back and find my all-time list of DFW numbers, and you'll find not a word about Tattoo, but probably Mike Madonna at number 9. All right, thanks for reading. What else? We got any stories that are worth it this week, Gil?
Absolutely.
If you said no, that'd be really
Yeah.
bad endorsement of our site.
By all means, read Richie's story about Chandler. And, John's got a good story this morning about Jackie Robinson, who's forever a fascinating figure to me, and
too, yeah.
he's, he's a great man and no doubt a pioneer beyond, unlike any other. The story's worth reading.
Can you put that story up there real quick again, Ziggy?
I know it's coming.
Oh, yeah. Number 1, every week now, John's going to work in Dick Nixon to his
It's-
story.
Who is that guy?
Mere coincidence.
Yeah, and then
The
He
last
looks
2
familiar,
weeks.
though.
top left, is that the first photo bomb in the history of photos?
I'm-
Look, yes, who
I'm
is-
thinking
what
of the
is
guy
this
in the middle. I'm thinking of the guy in the middle.
The guy in the
Oh,
middle
the guy in
looks
the middle's
like
there, too.
he looks like Secret Service on official
Some
business.
sort of aid,
But
maybe.
What
Yeah.
is Farmer Joe doing up here, like sticking his
true.
tongue out and photo bombing?
true. He's
I
going to
expect-
vote.
I expect a follow-up story on who that is next week, John.
Well, I might do that, but I'm putting Dick Nixon in the closet.
Are you?
No more Nixon
No more
stories?
Nixon.
Yeah, I
no more
believe-
Nixon.
For a while.
And
when
of
I
course,
see
this
it.
story is not all about Richard Nixon.
course
but,
not.
Right.
But
Right.
Funny to jab you.
Plenty of good stories. Go look at our new design. It's all out there, easy to find. Please, read as much stuff. TCU story from this morning, and
The
we hope
Cheez-It Bowl effect. Is that going to be their rallying cry for the
Love
Frogs
it.
this year?
Remember the
That's-
cheese.
I-
Remember the Cheez-It.
I coined that phrase, and coming to a T-shirt near you. So,
don't know if those
but that's
would be
what
big
they're
sellers.
that's what's
Genius.
fueling the Frogs.
Yeah, they won
in
the
this
what,
preseason.
They won the Cheez-It Bowl 10-7.
10-7 in
interceptions.
overtime, despite 9 interceptions by the two teams.
Charge when you win the Cheez-It Bowl.
It was great theater. Great
All right,
holiday
there's
theater.
some PressBox DFW Live, the season 2, episode 9. For Gil Leberton and John Henry, I'm Richie Witt. We'll see you in the PressBox DFW.